Hello everyone, I want to do a project with these cute little flowers that I made in last week's video. For anybody who's interested, I'll leave the link to the video showing how I made these. Really easy. The little crochet flowers in the centre were made for me by my lovely friend Linda Cooper Pierce, but you could just use larger buttons, use whatever you have in your stash, but I'll leave the link to the video in the description box below. Now, somebody left a comment last week about using them to make a fabric journal cover, and I thought, what a fantastic idea. I was thinking maybe needlebook, something like that, but I just love the idea of making a slow stitching journal. Of course, you could use these for card toppers. There are just so many different ways that you could use them. Now, I think I might end up making two because I've got some picture framing mount board pieces. These backing pieces, which I only use just to show them off, although they do go really well if I do say so myself. I might change the colours up a bit, I don't know, because I've got a few more of these upholstery fabric scraps, but these measure 4 inches square. How much is my flower? My flower is about 2 3/4 inches, but I've got two of these, and these are 5 inches square. So those are going to be absolutely perfect. So these are what I'm going to use for my front and back covers. I thought I could maybe make two, give one away. But what I am thinking, let's just put this out of the way, is using this as the topper for my cover. I just think that's going to look so pretty. Now I need to find a way of covering the picture framing mount board, and what have I done with it? I've got a whole bag of linen, calico and upholstery fabric scraps in this bag here. And as much as I would love to use this colour here, which I think would just be a really neutral background, I just haven't got enough of it. I've used it all, apart from this little piece here, but I do have this. And this is something that I pulled out of Alex's cupboard from his quilting days. And this was something that I think he'd picked up when we'd gone to visit the charity stores in the village where we live. And I think this is going to be perfect. It needs a good iron, as you can see, but I think colour-wise, it's going to match my flowers. I might change up the backgrounds of these upholstery fabric pieces here. But I think what I'm going to do to start off with is cut a piece of this off and then take it to the ironing board so that at least I'm working with something relatively flat. As you can see, I've taken the fabric off to the ironing board, so that's much flatter now. I think this is the right side, so let's flip this over. I also want to use the beveled edges as the front, so I'm just going to glue these down. I'll do them one at a time, and in fact, actually, I'll put some parchment paper underneath here as well, just to stop the glue seeping through and sticking to my mixed media paper that I use just to brighten my desk. So let me get myself organised. Okay, so I've got my parchment paper down. Now I'm just going to be using some of this glue here. You can see that the bottle has buckled. This is Artway strong PVA glue. You can use anything, and I'm going to use this at full strength. And I've just got this plastic bag, cellophane bag, that a card came in. It was my husband's birthday and my son's birthday, my eldest son's birthday last week. So I thought I might as well use these. I've got a couple of paintbrushes as well. And all I'm going to do is just apply some glue. Let's just move my fabric out of the way. Turn it how do I want to do this? Yes, I need to apply my glue on this side here. So I'm just going to make sure that I apply it all the way to the edges, all over this piece of picture framing mount board. You could use anything. You could use the back of a mixed media pad. You want something fairly sturdy though, I think, for this. And I got my inspiration, as I say, from the comment that was left last week. And also Jerry Bellini posted a video this morning as well. I'm doing this on Saturday, so very much last minute. Absolutely loved the little journals that she made, and I'll leave the link to Jerry's video in the description box below. I love her channel. I'm so glad to see her back. But just making sure that I've got plenty of glue. And then let's move that out of the way. And I'm just going to pop this down, just making sure that I've got plenty to wrap over onto the back once the glue has dried. And I'm going to do exactly the same to this piece here as well. I've pulled myself a fresh piece of parchment paper and I'm just working this in just to make sure that it's stuck, focusing on those beveled edges, just running my finger along. If you've got a brayer, use it. I don't have a clean one on hand, but you know, just using my hands, the palm of my hand. And then I'm just going to grab another piece of parchment paper, stick it over the top, and I'm just going to weight these down underneath a heavy book. As you can see, I placed all 4 of the mount boards down and I had them weighted down in between parchment paper and glass mats. I'm really happy with these. What I do want to do, let's do one at a time, is just cut some of the excess fabric away. I've got far too much here. So bring in my fabric scissors and I'm just going to eyeball this. I've cut these now, they're much neater, much easier to deal with. And the last thing I want to do is just cut off the corners like so that I can fold these over and glue it down to the other side. So I'll do this on all 4 of my boards. I've put some more glue out on that little piece of packaging, cellophane packaging, and I'm just going to add some glue around the edges here. Let's do one edge at a time because this glue is drying quite quickly. Just want to make sure that I've got some down the sides as well. And I'm just going to fold this over. And I'm just going to keep going along all 4 of these edges. In fact, I can just crease that down like so. Maybe tuck that in a little bit like this. It's a bit fiddly. And then just fold this over. And again, once I've done this, I'll weight it down in between parchment paper and put glass mats on top. They're just glass chopping boards, which I find really handy for things like gel printing and all of that kind of thing. But they're quite heavy, so they're quite good for using as weights as well. So again, I can just fold this little bit here in, just to make this nice and neat. And I'm just going to keep going and do this last side here as well. And of course the other 3 mount boards. As you can see, my boards are now dry, so I'm just going to pop those 2 off to one side and let's work on these. I want to have a play around with the front cover first, because this will determine what I use to create my spine. Now, I've pulled out this green. I love this olive green. I think it works really well with the pink. I think the darker aubergine I had was just a little bit too much. Of course, everything is covered in fabric dust. But no, that's too much. I really like this green, so I think that's what I'll end up using. And that's going to determine what I decide to use to make my spine. Now, I've got a whole heap of other fabric samples as well. These are all upholstery fabric that I had from when we were decorating our living room. In fact, actually, I had that one there. And which other one did I have? There was another one that I liked as well. I think it was this one here. Now, which one do I like the best? You see, this one here really picks up the blue in the fabric on the front. They're all plain on the back, and if I iron this sticker here, it will just peel straight off. So maybe, let's have a look. Let's turn this round this way. In fact, actually, I like this one here because the green in the spines of the leaves is the same as the green here, so that works really well. So yep, decision made. That's the one that I will use. So I will end up cutting a piece of this just to make the spine of my journal. And what I'll do is I'll make a mark. I've got this white pencil here as well, and I'll just cut along here with my pinking shears so that is the right height. I haven't got my pinking shears handy at this second. In fact, actually, I think they're in my drawer. Here we go. In fact, I think what I ought to do is draw across this with a ruler so that I don't end up making a mistake. Let's go right the way across and cut this. Is that straight? I want to bring in a measuring mat because it doesn't look very straight to me, but the fabric might be wonky. This one isn't big enough. Hang on, let's try again. Let's try this one here. Look at the state of these as well. They've been very, very well used. Yeah, you see, I think that is about right. So I'm just going to cut that across. It doesn't have to be perfect at the end of the day. And if that's a bit too big, then I can cut it down a little bit more. Let's move that out of the way. And so it will go something like this. Yeah, you see, I really like that. I think the colours of that are absolutely perfect. So that's that chosen. And all I'm doing at this stage is just choosing the colour of the fabrics that I want to use, because I need to cover the back as well. But I will end up sandwiching this in the middle of the layer that I put on the back. It'll make sense in a minute or two. So that's that one chosen. So I'm just going to layer that up and pop that off to one side. Okay, I finally made a decision as to the little pretty green and pink flower. I've got this beautiful piece of upholstery fabric here, and I thought colour-wise that went really well. It goes with the pinks in the flower here, and I've chosen this corally colour which matches as well. So let me just pop that out of the way, because what I need to do now is find a way of gluing this down. And I think what I'll do is bring in my glue. Let's hope I've got enough, and I just need to add some just to the edge here. I'm going to try and go down in a straight line. I might need a bit more glue. Hopefully I've got enough, making sure I've got plenty on the edges, and then I can stick this on. And then I'm going to do exactly the same with the other side. So I'll just stick that down there, just like that. Okie dokie. So I've got this glued down, and when I fold that over, that is what my spine looks like. I think that's going to look absolutely gorgeous. And so, of course, now I need to find something to cover up the inside pages of my journal as well. The next step is to tidy up the inside of my journal. And I've cut some pieces of cardboard, thinner cardboard, much thinner. This is just cereal box, slightly smaller all the way around than the outside. I've also cut 4 more pieces of the same fabric that I used for the outside front cover, and I'm just going to cover these up as well in exactly the same way as I did for the front cover. Now, whilst I'm waiting for the inside front and back cover of my journals to dry, I can see that I've got a little bit of a shortfall here, and I'm going to use my art glitter glue just because I've got the precision nib. I can get into the areas that I need to really easily. I haven't used this in a while, so I seem to have a bit of a clog, but I'm just going to go all the way along this edge and just glue this down so that it's nice and tight. And then again, I'll weight that down. And as soon as everything is dry, then we can glue on the inside front and back cover. I don't want too much glue. I don't want it to seep through to the other side, but this is not coming out very well. Come on, play ball with me. Here we go. That will do fine. And I'm just going to stick that down there. I'm going to do exactly the same with this side here as well. And as I've said, I'll weight that down underneath a heavy book. It's coming out a lot more easily now, as you can see. There we go. Just wipe away any extra that you can see is oozing out, but it will dry clear anyway. Everything is dry and we're ready to move on to the next step. So this is what my journals look like so far. So the spine is dry, it's all glued down here as well, nice and tight. That's what this one looks like, and my end covers are ready as well. So let's take one of these. It doesn't really matter which one, and all I will do is attach 2 of these, one to the inside front and one to the inside back. Got a bit of a mark there. I think it's just where the glue is a little bit wet still. I'm hoping that that will dry. Perhaps if I put it there, you won't notice it quite so much. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to unscrew the little precision tip from my art glitter glue. And I'm just going to apply glue all the way around. I think this is going to be the quickest and easiest way to do it, and to make sure that I get all the way to the edge. Try not to apply it too close and too much so that it ends up seeping out absolutely everywhere. We don't want a mess. And of course I want some in the middle as well. Bit at the top here. And I saw a little frayed bit as well, which I just want to make sure I pull inside so that it's not hanging over the edge. Now, I wanted that little stain here, didn't I? So let me stand up to do this to make sure I get it in the right place. And I think about there will do. And I'm going to do the same with the other side and the other book as well. And I'm just going to weight it down again underneath a heavy book. And the hardest thing with this is the drying time, just the waiting, whilst everything's weighted down under a heavy book, which takes about 10 minutes or so each time. But you've just got to be patient. These are dry now. They've been weighted down underneath the glass mat and heavy books for about an hour or so. I went off and cooked my dinner. Steve's away on a reunion today, so I've had the whole house and craft room to myself without having to worry about anybody, which has been a really nice day. So this is what they look like. They're really nice and neat. The edges are all nicely glued down. Let me just show you what they look like from the top. From all angles, really nice and neat. I do like this binding method, and as I've said, I will leave the link to Jerry's video because although I've used her binding method, in fact, her method for making these journals, mine are completely different to hers. So do go and take a look at her video. She's an absolute joy to listen to as well. So if you haven't experienced Jerry Bellini before, do go and take a look. You'll find the link in the description box below. But these are my books. That's what they look like. Now, let me show you the embellishments so that you can see what they look like on the top. I'm not going to glue these down today because I want to put my thinking cap on. What I'm thinking is that I might like to cut the edges off, get rid of the pinked edges. They came like this because these were just how the fabric samples arrived, but I'm thinking that if I cut the edges off, then I can fray the edges, maybe add something else behind it, I don't know, maybe add some slow stitching, some interest on the backgrounds. As I've said, I just need time to walk away and have a think about what I would like to do. I also need to have a think about what I want to do for the signatures as well. Now, Jerry used wool felt, I think it was, in her journals for her signatures. And I've got a whole cupboard full of wool felted jumpers and scarves and all of that kind of thing. I went through a phase, years before I even started doing anything with mixed media. And I've got 2 shelves full of wool felted jumpers and scarves and all of that kind of thing in my cupboard that would just be absolutely perfect for this. So I just need some time to pull out some fabrics that, would work with the colour schemes. I like to keep things coordinated, as you know. I love these. I think they're absolutely beautiful. I don't know which one is my favourite. I absolutely love them both. Let me know which one you like the best. So I'm going to leave the video here for today, and I'll be back sometime next week once I've had a chance to pull out my fabrics for my signatures, and then, let's take the time to finish these off. Let me have a think about what I want to do. Do I want to keep it plain? Do I want to add some more detail? Let me know your thoughts. What do you think would look nice on these? But just to give you some ideas, these are the first ever slow stitched projects I did. This one here was inspired by I always forget the name of her channel. I'll leave it on screen. Cool Kooky Creatures, I think it is. And I just absolutely love this. It was so much fun to do, just really simple lollipop trees. And then the second one I did was this little paperclip embellishment. And in fact, actually, these go really well together. I think the fabrics I used were from the same kit. So of course they match really well. So I want to do similar types of projects in one of these books, whichever one I decide to keep. But of course I want to follow a theme. And what I will do is I've got all of these fabrics that I had from Love Me Blue. There's a whole pile. Where are the rest? Here we go. And I just think these would be absolutely lovely to use. I absolutely love that fabric there. I think these would be wonderful to use in this book. So that's my plan, just to fill a couple of pages with some slow stitched projects. I've just had so much fun making these that, I'd like to try it again. So for anybody who's interested, I'll leave the links to these videos. So it will be lollipop trees and paperclip embellishments for anybody who wants to know how I made these. But as I've said, I'll be back with a part 2 very, very soon in a few days. So if you've enjoyed my project today, as always, I'd very much appreciate a thumbs up. Do let me know what you think in the comments below. But most importantly, thanks for watching. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.